So today we're doing the Practice CCA. So in number 1 it says refer to the diagram below. Is angle EBD an angle of elevation or an angle of depression? So that's angle EBD. So that's this angle, the 62 degrees. So that's going up. So it's angle of elevation. And then the second part is angle DBC, an angle of elevation or an angle of depression. So we have to say angle DBC, which is this angle here. That would be the angle of depression. Number 2. From the top of a fire tower, a forest ranger sees his partner on the ground at an angle of depression of 40 degrees. So let's draw that first. So you have the fire tower is here. A forest ranger sees his partner on the ground at an angle of depression. So the angle of depression would be here. That's 40 degrees. And then it's saying if the tower is 45 feet high, so that's how tall the tower is, how far is the partner from the base of the tower to the nearest tenth of a foot? So that if this is the base of the tower, we need to find this side here, so we'll call that X. And this is where the partner is. Draw a little stick figure. So we have 45 feet here. 45. That would be this side. Now the angle of depression is 40 degrees. So that's this angle. But in order to solve this, you need this angle inside the triangle here. So these two angles add to 90. So if this is 40 degrees, then the angle here that's in the triangle that you need to solve the problem is 50 degrees. So that's the first step. Then we need to look what we have. If this is the angle that we're starting at, we have, this would be a right angle here. So this side here is the hypotenuse. We don't have a value for that. So we don't want to use any equation that involves the hypotenuse. So here we have the adjacent side, which remember is next to, so that's 45. And we have opposite, which is X, is the one we have to find. So if you have opposite and adjacent, you need to use tangent. So we're going to say the tangent of 50 degrees equals, and it's opposite over adjacent. So opposite is X, the adjacent side is 45. So that's your equation. So when you do it on the calculator, you need to multiply both sides by 45. So what you're going to type in is 45 times the tangent of 50, and that's going to equal X. So when you do that, you're going to get X equals 53.6. It says to the nearest tenth of a foot, so it's rounded to the nearest tenth. So then after you get your answer, you need to write a sentence to answer the word problem. So you'd say his partner is 53.6 feet from the base of the tower. And then you're done with that one. Number 3. A ladder leans against a brick wall. The foot of the ladder is 6 feet from the wall. So let's draw this. We have our wall. This is your ladder. So this is our wall over here. So the foot of the ladder is 6 feet from the wall. So that's here, 6 feet. The ladder reaches a height of 15 feet on the wall. So that's here. Find to the nearest degree the angle the ladder makes with the wall. So the angle the ladder makes with the wall is here. So we need to find that angle measure. So the equation, again, so you have to look, if we're at this angle, we have opposite and we have adjacent. So again, we're going to use tangent. So it would be the tangent of x equals opposite over adjacent is 6 over 15. Now, when you go to solve this, remember we're getting the angle measure, so you're going to use, on the calculator, you're going to use the inverse tangent. So you have to say the inverse tangent, you're going to type that in, and then in parentheses put 6 divided by 15. So, and then on your that's going to equal x. So when you do that on the calculator, remember, make sure your calculator's in degrees or you're not going to get the right answer. So then if you when you type this into the calculator, you should get that x equals 21.8. Now it says to the nearest degree, so we'll round that to 22. So when you write the sentence, it's going to be the ladder makes a 22-degree angle with the wall. What's that? Number 4. Oh, there it goes. It's a little wire first. A radio station tower was built in 2 sections. From a point 87 feet from the base of the tower, the angle of elevation of the top of the first section is 25. So this is the first section. They labeled it for you 25. And the angle of elevation of the top of the second section is 40. So it's the top of the second section, that angle of elevation is 40. To the nearest foot, what is the height of the top section of the tower? So, in order to find this, we're going to find the height of the small triangle, the first tower, then we'll find the height of the entire thing, and then we can subtract that to see what just this is, what just the height of the second piece is. So to find the height of the first section, we're going to do, so this is the angle that we're starting at. We have the 87s labeled here, and we'll call this x. So we have opposite and we have adjacent again. So we're going to use tangent. So you'd say the tangent. Now for the smaller triangle here, it's 25 degrees. So tangent of 25 degrees equals opposite over adjacent, so x over 87. So then when you do that, you're going to multiply both sides by 87. So you do 87 times the tangent of 25, and that's all going to equal x. So this is what you would type into the calculator. Then you get x equals 40.568, etc. Then, so that 40 is this piece, the first section. Now we're going to find the length of the first section plus the second section, so this whole piece. We'll call that x when we do it. So the tangent, again, so for the bigger triangle, it's 40 degrees. So the tangent of 40 equals, again, opposite over adjacent, so we'll call it x over 87. So same thing as before, you're going to multiply by 87 both sides. So you have 87 times tangent of 40. That's what you would type into the calculator. When you do that, you're going to get x equals 73.00. Now, this piece we just said is 40. The whole thing, or 40.56, we'll say, and then the whole thing is 73. But we have to find just the height of the second section. So in order to do that, we'll take the height of the entire thing and subtract the first section and see what is left for the second section. So when you do that, you'll do 73.00 minus 40.568, and that will give you, sorry, I had to get my calculator, 73.00 minus 40.568. So it's 32 2.432. It says to the nearest foot is what we're going to round to. So we make the sentence, you can say, the height of the top section is 32 feet. And that one's done. Okay, so now we have the second practice CCA. So it says, a person stands on top of a hill and looks up to see a plane, then looks down to see a dog. What is the angle of elevation? So they're looking up. So this would be angle of elevation, so angle 1. What is the angle of depression? It would be this angle, it's angle 2, so it's B. For problems 3 through 4, complete the following. Create a diagram to model a situation, write the equation, calculate the missing measurement, round to the nearest foot, and write your final answer in a complete sentence. So, it says, Mr. Clark is camping for the weekend. The angle of elevation from his campsite to the top of the cliff is 28 degrees. If his all right, so let's do that first. The angle of elevation, so his campsite, say this is his tent. Okay, we go up to the top of the cliff. This is the cliff over here. Let me go, full triangle. So the angle of elevation, it says, is 28 degrees. So that goes here. If his campsite is 120 feet from the base of the cliff, so 120 feet goes here. How high is the cliff is what we want to find, so we'll call that X. So there's our diagram. So now we have to look. If this is the side of the triangle we want to find, this is where the angle is. So we have opposite and we have adjacent. So that means we have to use tangent. So when you write your equation, it's going to be the tangent, and then you put the angle measure here, which is 28. Tangent of 28 equals opposite over adjacent. So opposite is X, adjacent is 120. That is your equation. Now when we solve it, so you have tangent of 28 equals X over 120. So again, to solve this, you have to multiply both sides by 120. So on your calculator, you're going to type 120 times tangent of 28. That will equal X. So you'll get X equals 63.805. It said to round to the nearest foot, so you will not have any decimals. So this is 0.8, so we have to round up. So we'll say X equals 64. And that's feet. So now when we write the sentence, the question was how high is the cliff? So we will say the cliff is 64 feet tall. I'll use the word high. Since that's what the problem used. Next one. Number 4. It says, Miss Patisi is flying a kite at a local park. The kite string and her line of sight forms a 40-degree angle. The kite string is 50 feet long, and Miss Patisi's line of sight is 5 feet above the ground. How high above the ground is the kite? So you have to draw Miss Patisi here. I'm going to use stick figures because I can't draw. So you have the person is here, and they're flying a kite. This is our kite. Now you go into her line of sight. It's a little crooked. And so it says The kite string and her line of sight forms a 40-degree angle. So that's here, 40 degrees. The kite string is 50 feet long, so you have to label that up here, 50 feet. And Miss Patisi's line of sight is 5 feet above the ground. So that means the distance from here to the ground is 5 feet, which we'll need to use that at the end of the problem. It's asking, how high above the ground is the kite? So we need to find this side here. So when we do that, you have your angles here, so we know we have opposite. And on this one, we have the hypotenuse, because this is your right angle, so 50 is your hypotenuse. So if you have opposite and hypotenuse, we need to use sine. So our equation, I don't know why the camera keeps going in and out there. Okay, so it's going to be sine of 40 equals, and then you have opposite over hypotenuse, so x over 50. So now when you solve that, which we'll do down in this square, so we have sine of 40 equals x over 50. In order to solve this, we need to multiply both sides by 50. So you're going to put 50 times sine of 40 in the calculator, and that's going to equal x. So then when you do that, you're going to get x equals 32.139. Again, it said to round to the nearest foot, so we're just going to say this equals 32 feet. Now you're not done yet, because it says how high off the ground, so you got to find this whole thing. So if the person's 5 feet tall, her line of sight is 5 feet above the ground, you're going to do your 32 feet, and then you're going to add 5 feet, so you would get 37 feet. So this is your final answer. So when you write your sentence, you're going to say the kite is 37 feet above the ground. And that's that one. Number 5. Mr. Albanese and Ms. Tavano were given a situation and were asked to solve using what they know about angles of elevation and depression. Both responses are shown below. Which teacher is correct? Show work to support your decision. So then it says, 2 office buildings are 51 meters apart. The height of the taller building is 207, and the height of the shorter building is 200 meters. Find the angle of elevation from the top of the shorter building to the top of the taller building. So that's this angle right here is what we need to find. Call that x. So in order to do that, we have the 51. We need to figure out what this is, which we can figure that out because this is 207, that's 200. So this is 7 meters. So now when you look, you need this angle here. We have opposite and we have adjacent. So we're going to use tangent. So you would say the tangent of x equals, opposite is 7 over 51, which is the adjacent. So then when you do it on the calculator, you can do the inverse tangent of 7 over 51, and that's going to equal x. And then x is going to come out to 7.82 degrees approximately. So we look at their 2 answers. Mr. Albanese got 82.11. Ms. Tavano got 7.82. So we're going to say Ms. Tavano is correct. And that's the practice CCA. Have a good day.